Chair, staff is ready when you are.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Pontiac Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 15th. And this is a special Planning Commission meeting. We added one this month because we had more items to address, and we didn't want to keep everyone here until next month. So thank you for coming out. What I would like to do is I would like to introduce those who are here helping us today. For staff, who's walking out is Mark Yandrick. Hopefully you're not leaving for good. Mark Yandrick is our planning manager. Here on my left at the microphone is Corey Christensen, senior planner. Here to my immediate left is Commissioner Tim Shepard. To my right here is Vice Chair Sam Henley. Next to Sam is Commissioner Sue Sinclair. Next to Sue is Commissioner Christopher Northcross. And down at the far end is our attorney, Morgan McAtammy. And I am Mona Parlov. I'm Chair of the Planning Commission.
And if I may, we have a planner with us from our staff. This is Justin Curry.
Hey, Justin. He's going to be announcing one of our petitions tonight. He's going to give us the overview. So thank you for joining us tonight. We hope to see you more often. And if you'd like to do roll call.
Commissioner Henley?
Present.
Commissioner Sinclair?
Present.
Commissioner Northcross?
Present.
Commissioner Shepard?
Present.
Commissioner Parlov?
Present. And we have two commissioners who are not here this evening, Vernita Duval and Michael McGinnis. Vernita might be joining us.
We have not heard from her, but Commissioner McGinnis has expressed that unfortunately he has a work commitment and is unable to make it tonight.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So any official communications from staff?
We have no official communications this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any amendments to the agenda?
For once, the special exception and site plan for one of the cases are aligned on the agenda, so there are no amendments needed this evening.
Excellent. All right, then I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Commissioner Shepard?
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Henley?
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Northcross?
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Sinclair?
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Parlov?
Yes to approve.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, minutes from our last meeting, which was only 15 days ago. We do not have them in our packet, and I will let staff explain.
Yep, due to the fact that this is a special meeting and it was only 2 weeks ago, we will be receiving both meeting minutes at the start of your June meeting.
Thank you very much. So what we're going to do then is move to our first item as a public hearing. It's application SEP 24-002. The applicant is Ali R. Saad. The application is a special exception permit for 1375 Baldwin Avenue. It's for automotive services. I will let staff present.
All right, so today's special exception request is for automotive services at 1375 Baldwin Avenue. Automotive services is a very broad category in our ordinance that pretty much permits any sort of auto-related use outside of sales. In particular, the applicant is proposing a car wash and oil change facility. Staff is recommending approval with 4 conditions. This gives you an idea of where the property is located. It is south of Walton Boulevard, further south past the train tracks on the west side of Baldwin Avenue. You can see that there are neighborhoods, single-family residential here and over here, and Baldwin Avenue itself is a commercial corridor. This shows you where it sits within our zoning map. It's actually 2 parcels. They will be getting them combined. We'll be talking about that more when we get to the site plan part of the night. But the property is zoned C3. That's that deeper red color. There's several C3 zoned parcels nearby. The lighter pink is C1. And then the kind of yellowish color, that's single-family residential. To the direct north, you'll notice that there is industrial. This is taken from Google Street View to give you a rough idea of what the property looks like in more recent years. This was taken in October of 2021. You can see that it was a fast food restaurant with plenty of green space, a tree, and some fencing. There are several approaches. Some are were functioning, some are not. This is taken looking southeast towards Baldwin Avenue. This photo was taken to give you an idea of how it sits within the neighborhood. You can see that it is along a commercial corridor with several strip malls and auto-related industries nearby.
So you say that picture was taken in 2021? That's not true. That truck was sitting there just last year. That wasn't from 2021. I passed that way every day.
My apologies, there will be time for comment during public hearing, but at this point, there should be no comment from the audience.
So attached is the proposed site plan.
Excuse me, you need to be quiet while we do our presentation. You'll have a chance to do public comment. Thank you.
So here's the proposed site plan. You can see they are proposing a car wash tunnel right here. There's going to be offices in the middle and then a oil change right here. There were some changes from the site plan that was proposed to you last month as part of the informational session. If you recall, at that time, the parking lot was proposed to extend all the way to the south of the parcel. And also there were the queuing lane intersected with the vacuuming spaces over here. Both those issues were identified by the Planning Commission as something that they wanted to see addressed when the applicant came back. So the applicant has added more green space to the south of the property. They've rerouted the stacking lanes and now put the vacuuming over here. Standards for approval for special exceptions. The proposed use shall be harmonious with the City of Pontiac Master Plan. The proposed use and appearance of the site shall be harmonious with the existing and intended character of the general vicinity. The proposed use shall not change the essential character of the area or adversely affect the development of the surrounding neighborhood. And the proposed use shall not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future uses in the same general vicinity and will be a substantial improvement to the community as a whole. Further, be served adequately by essential public facilities and services, not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, and equipment or conditions of operation that will be detrimental to any person, property, or general welfare as a result of producing excess traffic, noise, smoke, fumes, glare, or odors out of proportion to that normally prevalent in the district. And 7, maintain all proposed structures, equipment, or materials in a readily accessible manner for police and fire protection. In staff's analysis, while the master plan encourages neighborhood commercial to be human scale as opposed to auto-oriented, the priority is redeveloping commercial sites to provide services to the neighborhood. The proposed use of this site is in compliance with this intention. The stretch of the Baldwin Avenue corridor is mostly zoned commercial and has attracted medium-intensity commercial uses that generate vehicular traffic, such as gas stations, strip malls, and restaurants. Automotive service facilities such as this are classified as a high pollutant producing land use, and as a result, the applicant must provide a water pretreatment plan to protect the city's waterways and adjacent properties from contamination. The proposed use will not be a burden on essential public facilities and services, and the site plans have been reviewed and approved by the fire department. The site and structures on it will be readily accessible to police and fire protection. In summary, an automotive service facility is appropriate for the corridor and will not alter the essential character of the area. The applicant is proposing a new building and parking lot with green space to the south. The site is appropriately designed to reduce off-site impacts by facing parked cars away from residences and protecting the adjacent homes with a 6-foot masonry wall. The city engineer and fire marshal will review the applicant's stormwater pretreatment plan and hazardous materials mitigation plan to ensure the city's waterways do not become contaminated and the site does not present a safety risk. With that, staff finds that this proposal is appropriate for special exception use and approval. Staff recommends the special exception be approved with 4 conditions. 1, service and repair work shall be conducted within a completely enclosed building. 2, required stormwater pretreatment plan shall be approved by the City of Pontiac. 3, hazardous materials mitigation plan will be approved by the fire marshal. And 4, all the conditions of the associated site plan approval will be honored. And with that, I have sample motions. Are there any questions for me?
Actually, if I can, Corey, thank you for that presentation. There's a few things I want to address about this case for the condition, and I do want to acknowledge what the member of the audience said. That picture is from October 2021 from Google Maps. That's not a city photo. That is a published photo. It's just a timestamp just showing, and that is the most recent photo we have on site. of that structure with other than our visits out there. I did want to also acknowledge that tonight this is a special exception that is also accompanied by a site plan. As part of the site plan review, and Corey, if you could go here, staff is recommending approval of that site plan. We will do the presentation later, but I did want to acknowledge, as Planning Commission is reviewing this, you can go to that last slide with the 7 conditions. These 7 conditions, recommended conditions of approval, are there to align with the zoning code. So these are conditions that are either requirements or they require additional from what you see on the site plans that are before you tonight. So I'm just going to highlight a couple. The percent transparency of the front facade must be at least 40%. There are certain trees along the property lines, and those are the trees that are required that they would need to amend the plans or add to the plans. It's a minor one. The barrier-free parking spaces should be labeled, dimensioned. Exterior lighting must be downward facing and fully shielded to avoid off-site exposure of the lighting. And then this number 7 is a standard condition of the photometric plan, the hazardous materials plan, and the stormwater pretreatment. So as you're reviewing this special exception, I just wanted to highlight these are conditions that are part of our zoning code, really part of our site plan process, but that context hopefully helps you within the special exception. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Tim, do you have any questions for staff?
Questions at this time?
Thank you. I'm going to go far to the far right. Christopher, any questions for staff?
I'll hold my questions until after the public hearing.
Thank you very much. Sue, any questions for staff?
No questions for staff.
Thank you, Sam.
No questions for staff.
Nor do I. So I would like to ask our petitioner to approach the podium.
If
And
you could hit the
please-
right microphone to turn the right button at the bottom of the microphone to turn it on, the red light will come on.
There you go. All right, please state your name and address for the record.
Ali Arsad, applicant, 1375 Baldwin Ave.
Great, thank you.
My
Is there-
engineer, actually, excuse me, he's about 15 minutes late.
Okay,
I mean, I can go ahead and start, but he had
yeah,
some
please, go
questions
ahead. If
too,
there's
so.
anything you'd like to add that you'd like us to know.
No, I mean, we, after revising the plans from last time, I just want to thank you for bringing that up where we had a paved lot over there. We ended up adding more grass, so, you know, we don't have the traffic that we need over there. So I want to thank you for that. And we're just excited to get this project going as soon as possible. And hopefully this will be a great partnership to us and everybody in the community.
Very good. Is this your first purchase of real estate in Pontiac, a first business in Pontiac?
It's a first business, yes. We have over 50 properties in different counties.
Okay.
But we're actually developing these in the next 5 years, about close to a dozen of them like these. And this would be the first development here in Pontiac. We're actually in the dealership business. So we're in Wayne County, and we found a few properties in different counties, and we wanted to, you know, go ahead and start our project over here with the city of Pontiac. And you know, I know it's a growing city, and we want to continue that and hopefully grow together.
Great. Well, thank you for thinking of us. I'm going to turn to Tim. Do you have any questions?
I don't at this time.
Thank you. Chris, any questions?
Just a question. Have you built a car wash of this type before, or any car washes before?
We have not, no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I was wondering is how loud is the noise from a car wash?
I mean, with the new technology nowadays, it's pretty quiet. I mean, you know, you're definitely not going to hear it from the outside. We did some bids with a few different companies, and we attended some seminars and conventions, and we noticed they have different ones. Like the most quietest ones is what we're going to go with, basically, as far as the blowers and stuff outside.
Okay. Are there any numbers or anything from manufacturers, any projections of the noise that's emitted?
As far as like the sound noise, yeah, I mean,
Sound noise, yeah.
mhm. I mean, I don't know, no, but I mean, It's where we have the car wash set up at. It's on the side where the industrial side is. I know there's an industrial side and there's a resident side.
Yeah.
We're not really doing nothing on the resident side, so it's all towards the industrial area. But like I said, I mean, we're picking the best equipment and the most efficient one, so it's not noisy. Obviously, we know there's neighbors, behind us, and I mean, we don't want to disturb anybody.
Okay. I mean, thank you for choosing Pontiac. Thank you for coming here. As we're starting to see an increase in the density of the land use in Pontiac. And what that's resulting is that we're seeing some uses that we haven't seen before next to each other. Mm-hmm. And just wondering how that's going to work in the future as we go down the road. So that type of information, if we can start to make some projections and thoughts up front, or there's some things that we maybe need to proactively do, or there's some design features or something in operation that can be done to ensure that, one, your business can run well, but at the same time, we protect the health and safety of the
Absolutely.
residents in the area.
Absolutely.
And that was my question. That was my reason for asking about the sound. In fact, we even have some performance standards in our
I can assure you.
ordinance.
I can assure you, it's going to be quiet, and it's not going to affect anything. I mean.
Now, our performance standards are saying, 65 decibels, I believe it is, or something. Mm-hmm. So when we say quiet, I mean, 65 is not outrageously loud. It's not outrageously quiet. Kind of like in the middle. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we don't want it loud, too, especially for the employees working. I mean, we care for the employees working as well as the residents. But like I said, nowadays with the new technology in the car wash, I mean, you're not going to be able to hear it. I mean, if you're driving by, you won't notice it. You won't notice a blower.
Yeah. I was thinking more of the residents next door, and
yeah. So the blowers are going to be facing the Baldwin.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I was wondering if there's been any projections of how that sound's going to travel. And like I say, this is probably not something that you've probably faced before. I mean, we have the standards in our ordinance. I'm not sure how much we've had to apply them before, because some of our developments have been away from residents. Mm-hmm. But we're starting to see a few where we're saying, oh, man, we should have looked at that sound a lot closer. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason I bring it up. So
we're gonna ensure we can get it the quietest we can. I mean, and most efficient, obviously. So.
Okay. Well, hey, again, thank you for coming and thinking of Pontiac.
Thank you, Christopher. Sue, any questions?
No, I'm going to wait until afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam?
Yeah, just one relating to the special exception part of this process. But I remember about a month ago when you came here for the informational session, you were proposing the concrete or the pavement all the way down to the south near Princeton Avenue. And that was because I believe you said you were planning on developing this parcel further with additional uses. Is that still the plan, or is this kind of site plan that we see here its final iteration?
For the most part, it's going to be final. Okay. Yeah, we have, we don't have anything that we're going to do anytime soon.
You don't see any more uses for this site beyond what's proposed right now?
I mean, not at this moment. No, we don't. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Sam. I have a question. As I'm looking at this rendering, there are some car washes that there are multiple locations of a similar template. Jack's Car Wash, for example. And they've just built a car wash on Woodward in Royal Oak, south of 14 Mile. Is this the same type of style as that?
It's going to be the same concept. Like I said, it's going to be up to date.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a pretty penny. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed Tommy's car washes too. Mm-hmm. Tommy's. So it's going to be similar to that.
Okay. And there's a lot of interesting.
Nice modern look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're just not gonna put, blowers out there and do the old,
Oh, you're going to
old-fashioned
give it some
way.
beautification?
Right,
Please.
exactly.
We won't stop you on that. I know that there's a lot of interest in car washes right now. So a couple other questions. Do you know what the hours would be?
Yes, between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m.
Okay, every day?
Sunday, we'll probably give our employees a break, probably a little bit sooner than that,
Okay.
maybe
all
a
right.
couple hours before, yeah.
Okay. And then do you know what your pricing will be yet?
As far as car washes,
Yeah.
I don't have a set number yet, but it's going to be, we're going to offer packages for sure.
Uh-huh.
Our monthly packages will probably range from anywhere to $20 to $40 a month,
Okay.
unlimited washes.
So you're not going to be the $2 car wash anymore. Do they even do those exist anymore? I
Yeah.
miss those days. Not that they
Yeah, I don't
cleaned your
know.
car, but
I don't know about those ones. You probably have to go through the car wash about 3 or 4 times to get a
exactly.
clean
You
wash.
get a better wash with the rain.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I won't belabor
And
this.
you'll have a lot of noise from the blowers
Yeah.
on those $2 ones.
Yep. Exactly. We appreciate you investing in good equipment.
You're welcome.
So things will
Absolutely.
stay at a lower sound level. So what I'm going to do is I will ask you to take a quick seat. I'm going to open up the public hearing, and I'll go over a quick overview of public hearing. Please approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to state whatever you want to say about this particular item. And if there's a question you have, we'll try and get an answer for you after public hearing has closed. Once you have finished speaking, please take your seat. And once we have closed public hearing, do not speak out from the audience. And please try and avoid repeating questions that someone else has already asked.
And Chair, is it 1 comment per person? Is that correct? 1 3-minute
I would like to
comment?
keep it to 1
Okay,
today.
thank you.
We'll keep it consistent. Thank you for that question. All right, I'm going to open public hearing.
Hello, my name is Daniel Brisley. I'm a lifelong resident of Pontiac. You guys drive past my mother's house every day. The first house on the right as you come off the expressway. Lived here my whole life. I got 2 young children. I'm raising within the city of Pontiac. How many car washes, how many oil changes, how many auto repair refill facilities do we need on Baldwin? You got car washes around the corner on Walton, Quick Lubes, you got a car wash on the other side of Walton. You got Safeway Quick Lube, you got Malcolm Tire, you got E&J, Allen at Quick Corners putting in gas pumps. And as far as the vacuum, a vacuum cleaner is a vacuum cleaner. They make noise. Any of you have been through a car wash with your windows rolled up going through a car wash, when they blow the car off, it makes noise. You're going to hear it. Yeah, there's residents, there's industrial, but the industrial on Sheffield, there's no noise. It's quiet. It's all inside stuff. You know what I mean? We need something that's going to benefit the community. Something that's going to benefit families. How many car spots we need? With that comes contaminants. Regardless of what they say, they dump shit in the sewer. Runoff into the city streets. You know what I mean? We need something that's going to benefit the community. If it's such a great idea, why is it not in their community? Why do they got to come here, prey on the weak? Yeah, Pontiac's on the upswing. I dig it. I lived here my whole life. I'm glad to see it. We've lost so much in this city as it is. We don't need to keep just pumping in car washes, gas stations. And what that's going to do with the gas station next to Pizza Express, what's it going to do? We got the homeless shelter down there on Baldwin, right? It's going to drag all that madness that's as bad as it is down there farther down into the neighborhoods. The car wash, what's that going to do? They're just going to gravitate down there. At least it's contained down at that other end. I live in that community. I live at 798 Stanley. It's sad that when I want to do things with my children, like go to a restaurant, the Rocket, I used to go there when I was a kid. Sit outside in the summertime, have something to eat. They had good food. It was a cool place. The Monster Burger. Now we want to put a car wash in there and oil changes. How many do we need? It makes no sense. It doesn't benefit the community. It benefits people that live outside the community, not us. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
How are you? My name is Hassan Hamadi, and I'm a representative of Safeway Quick Lube. I represent an oil change who's been here for 20 years. This is the 20-year anniversary of Safeway Quick Lube. They've been here since 2004. Address is 711 Baldwin. So first thing you're probably thinking is, what the hell are you doing here? We love fair competition. And quite frankly, competition should be accepted. But every time I've heard this body, or if I stood in front of bodies in cities, especially during a planning commission, we always talk about the city partnering up with businesses. If you're partnering up with businesses that already exist and have been here for over 2 decades, then you need to understand that the oil change and automotive industry is also changing, which means that the oil changes 3 in a 1-mile radius right on Baldwin by Safeway are going to struggle in the future when it turns to EV and charging. If you go to the GM and you look in their parking lot, it's all electronic cars. So we're changing with times. I'm not so much talking about car washes. I do agree with the young man who came up here and is talking about noise. That's not my issue. My client is an oil change who's been here for quite some time. He's not worried about competition. He's worried about surviving in the future when you have more and more and more oil changes open up. And that's concerning because the city of Pontiac, being his partner, is approving anyone to open any oil change on any street. And that's not okay. He didn't complain about it 2 years ago when an oil change wrapped around the corner in a half-mile radius from him. He let it happen because he understands competition's fine. But if it's becoming more and more where these same and similar businesses are opening, what are we telling the businesses that come to this body and approve a business to be open? We're saying, we are your partners, but guess what? We don't care if you make it at the end. And we want to ensure that any business that comes to this city is going to be successful. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Darlene Clark. I actually live at 506 Nebraska. I represent many in the city of Pontiac, so for clarity. I have been here for all my life. As you well know, I have said that many times before. And I really have come to understand planning a little bit more than sitting behind a desk to understand planning. But the question still needs to be asked on planning. And I know this is a job that you guys do for free, but understand that the other people that's watching this, as the young man here who live here and the person who represents his client, and me who actually represent many clients in Pontiac. Pontiac is building up. But as this man and both men have said, you have an out-of-state investors coming to our city for opportunity. The opportunity is actually pushing the neighbors, the people out. I am a member of Jack Car Wash. And Jack Car Wash, I actually get up to go to work at 5 in the morning to be there by 6. Jack Car Wash opens 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, from 7 a.m. to 8 or 7 in the evening, actually to 8 p.m. at night. On Sundays, they open at 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. But what Jack does is in the middle where commercial property on a main intersection in every Jack Car Wash that they have. They're not in a community. They're not on a corner lot. I, too, have ate at Rocket when I was younger, in my 20s, when I didn't care what I ate. I ate there, too. But understand this, Baldwin Streets, no disrespect, is coming a long way. You guys have cleaned out the prostitution. You have cleaned out the homelessness laying on the streets. You have cleaned this area out. But in the process of you cleaning it out, you're bringing in businesses that's not relating to the residents. This car wash it's a good dream. I can't stop a person from having their dream. The location where it's at is not feasible because then you're going to start the prostitutes coming back at night. You're going to have the homeless when it's closed to hang out at night because this is what happened. Not only in the part that made me not trust this man is what he said, it's a quiet car wash. Now, when you're going into a car wash, I guarantee the young people, boom, 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 toot the horn, playing the music. That happens at night in a residential neighborhood. Now, in a commercial neighborhood, you can't hear it because the other traffic is deterring it away. But understand this, in my opinion, as a 70-year resident who family helped build up, it sounds good, but it's not good for that street. That's as a resident and my clients. As well, not only just that, when he said, that kind of bothered me, but there would be no noise. Hours are 8 a.m. I'm really serious. I don't know a car wash that open up at 8 a.m.
Time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How you doing today? I'm Stephen McKenzie. I stay on West Yale, and I stay right behind the Chase Bank. So I'm watching the gas station get built, and now there's an auto center getting built down the street. I got young kids be playing out in the yard. There's a lot of traffic out there. And you got E&J Tire right across the street. You got the bank right. I see people flying in and out of the ATMs all night long. It's a bad spot. I said, I've been there for 10 years, and it's really nothing going on right there except for a lot of automotive. And it's just way too much going on right there. I got a lot of traffic, and I stay right there all. There's just so much. There's auto centers up the street, car washes around the block, and just a bad spot like that. Other people said it's going to be noisy. I got Rush Auto across the street. I hear them all night till 11 o'clock at night, banging, yelling, screaming. And you know what I'm saying? It's a neighborhood. It should be a residential neighborhood, but you got a lot of stuff going on. Can't stop somebody, but just giving my opinion. And that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. McKinney, if you could sign the, there's a sign-in sheet right there. You already did? Perfect. And there's an agenda if you want to pick any up too. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Iola Miller, and I live in District 3. The reason that I came today is because this was put on my card at the city council meeting last night, and my thought was that there should also be, they should also put like Family Dollar and all those little convenience stores that's popping up in Pontiac. You know, not for the same reason, toxins or thing, but Pontiac is like a food desert, you know, healthy food desert. And families are feeding themselves from Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, and there's a lot in Pontiac. And I think that the powers that be, council, the administration should put a limit to how many dollar stores are allowed to operate in Pontiac. And that's the only reason I came. And I actually would love to see a car wash on that corner, but sorry.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for the one on Woodward to finish.
All right. If no one else has anything they would like to add, I'm going to close public hearing. And we need to have silence in our, silence, please. We've closed public hearing. Please be quiet. Thank you. Did you want to address anything that was brought up by? Nothing?
I don't know there were any questions. I mean,
Okay.
if there were any that you, Planning Commission has, we'd be happy to attempt to answer them.
I didn't really hear anything specific as well. I just wanted to check with you.
There was one thing specific. How does it benefit the community?
Okay, we've closed public hearing, so we're going to discuss all that was just brought in front of us. Okay, thank you. What I would like to do is go to Tim.
I guess I don't have a whole lot real specific to the project, but maybe to get a clear idea to what we do here. We're not here to pick the businesses. So we don't get to pick and choose who goes where. These gentlemen, I don't know whether they own the property or not, they get to decide, you know, what they want to do with their property as long as it fits into what we don't get to pick what business they make. If I own a hamburger stand next door and somebody wants to put a hamburger stand in, I can't come in and, you know, we can't make a decision based on that. So I think I just wanted to be clear about that. What we can do is make sure they bring us good materials. You know, the sound thing is an ordinance issue. If they go over the sound, we had this issue last month. If they go over that sound limit, then they get ticketed by ordinance, but that's not up to us to decide. So, you know, we're here to make sure they bring us good plans and the plans work, and that's what these guys do and help us along with. So that's all I got.
Great, thank you. And may I ask, I'm going to pivot on the question you just asked. Morgan, our attorney, the potential business that's being proposed for this location is allowed, is that correct?
It is allowed as a special exception permit use. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to pivot now to Chris.
Thank you. Yes, some interesting questions. That of saturation of certain types of businesses, causing thus a reduction of profits for any of those businesses. I'm not sure about the community benefit. Nothing was in our list of conditions that I saw offered by the applicant. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still, I'm still really torn that, we're starting to pack things in tighter and tighter, and we do have items on the books saying that, yes, we have these limits, we have these specs, and yet when we have our presentations here, we're not speaking to the capability of these designs to meet those specs. And I know there was some mention about trees, and as I did further research, and I might be off guard, but off base, but I was looking at the Michigan Department of Transportation, and they've specifically put out a little video about what they're required to do to respond to road noise and when. And they also provide links to things that they've learned in trying to put barriers and other things in place to control road noise. And one of the things they specifically said is that vegetation doesn't work. You have to have like 100 feet or more very thick vegetation for it to even begin to reduce the sound. So I know we have enforcement, but I think we should do due diligence here to say we at least are confident that the designs that we're improving, and I think this is a good design in all other aspects, but I do have that question about noise and what it does to the surrounding residential areas. Does it mean that the residential lots next door to this place now become unusable? Or will the items outlined, that 5-foot wall, will that be sufficient? I mean, that might work, it may not work. In terms of someone owning the design to the point where they can make some projection, I don't have that here. And once it's in, it's in. That's the other problem, is once it's in, it's in. I'm a fan of, back in the day when I used to work as a design engineer, doing the design work and the projections up front before we get into trying to test it out on the customer as much as we could. So that's my only concern, is that the unknown of sound. We are not here to pick and choose the businesses. Although in our master plan, once we get into doing our master plan, we may actually talk to that item of how many businesses and where, especially, as I say, the density of the land use, the land use density in the city. As it increases, it may require some additional controls and thoughts and things that we want to put in place. But right now, I don't see them being there. But sound, that's definitely there. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Christopher. Sue.
Just one general comment. Thank you, Commissioner Shepard, for clarifying that we can't really dictate use. The rest of my comments are for the site plan if approved. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam.
The only thing I would have to say is just reiterating what Tim and Sue said, so I'll leave it at that.
All right, very good. I do know we have requirements when certain businesses are proposed within the city, when we have a setback or a distance for a liquor store, for example. There's a distance that we have to ask the applicant or the potential business owner to fall within, because certain items we can control in the city as far as how many can come in and where they're located. Car washes and oil changes, I pivot to our legal end of the table here. That is not something that the city can put a number on, or dollar stores, for as another example. Is that something that the city has capacity to address?
Under the language of the current zoning ordinance, no.
Okay, so we're dealing with what we have at hand at this moment. Go ahead, Sue.
I just want to add, just from research, there are ordinances that have been passed that have, not in Michigan that I'm aware of, that have limited like self-storage. So that would be an ordinance issue.
Please speak up and share. Go right ahead if you want to say anything more about that.
I mean, the city can consider an ordinance for health, safety, well-being, things of that nature. That really is not the ordinance in place tonight. The current ordinance should be considered. I think that's a separate, more of a proactive conversation with Planning Commission, with City Council about our current ordinance and putting limits and restrictions in place. But tonight's special exception, and Morgan, if you could help me out on this, really what is Planning Commission considering as part of this special exception, application in this review?
So there are some very clear standards of approval in the zoning ordinance that the Planning Commission is required to consider when considering a special exception. Corey is putting those up on the board, but essentially we have to ensure that the use is harmonious with the master plan, that the use is designed to be harmonious and appropriate in appearance with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity, not change the essential character of the area, not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future uses in the same general vicinity, be served adequately by essential public facilities and services such as highway, streets, police, fire protection, drainage structures, refuse disposal water, sewage facilities, and schools, not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, and equipment or conditions of operation that would be detrimental to any person, property, or general welfare as a result of producing excess traffic, noise, smoke, fumes, glare, or odors out of proportion to that normally prevailing in the particular district, and maintain all proposed structures, equipment, and materials in a readily accessible manner for police and fire protection. Unlike site plan approvals, which we've discussed ad nauseum in the last 2 Planning Commission meetings, there is an element of discretion with special exception permit approvals. Under the terms of the current zoning ordinance, the Planning Commission has the authority to either approve with conditions, or deny a Planning Commission or deny a special exception permit. Specifically, if the Planning Commission is considering denying a special exception permit, the zoning ordinance requires that the Planning Commission only deny such special exception permit if the Planning Commission determines that the proposed use or development does not comply with the standards and regulations set forth in this ordinance, or determines that the use will otherwise be injurious to the public health, safety, welfare, or orderly development of the city. I would be happy to answer any questions because I just went over a ton of information. But the main takeaway is there are a lot of things that the Planning Commission needs to specifically consider in considering a special exception permit. And unlike a site plan approval, there is some discretion here, but you need to relate it back to the standards of approval. And there are specific considerations that the Planning Commission needs to find in order to deny the special exception permit. Again, happy to answer any questions, though, if anyone has any.
Thank you, Morgan, very much. That helps to get into more detail about what these standards are that we need to consider as the commissioners. Please be quiet
I have a
in
question.
the audience. Go ahead, Chris.
If we go back to item 4 for standards of approval that was put up on, if we can put that back in. We're saying the proposed use shall not be hazardous or disturbing. Does that shall require it to not be, for us to have reasonable confidence that it's not disturbing? And this is a question for the lawyer.
The language on the slide, interestingly, is actually different than the language in the zoning ordinance. It's a summary. But the language in the zoning ordinance states that the Planning Commission shall review each application to determine that the use will not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future uses in the same general vicinity. It is not a shall. It's a question of the Planning Commission analyzing the application that's before them and determining whether there is reason to believe that the use will be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future uses in the same general vicinity. And that's one of 7 factors. So it's only one of the considerations, if that answers your question.
Reason to believe. Okay. It's a little different from how I'd envisioned it, as opposed to reason to believe the item will not be hazardous.
Exactly. It's a little bit different. The burden is not on the applicant to prove that it's not going to be hazardous. The burden would be on the Planning Commission to find that this use is going to be hazardous. So the Planning Commission has to have a reason to believe that that is the case, as opposed to simply finding that the applicant has not proven that it will not be hazardous.
Wow, that's a big difference there. And we're asking the site plan design then to come to us, but we in turn are evaluating the fitness of that design for given its proposed use, fitness of the design for the health and welfare of the community. We're determining that.
Exactly. If you find that you have reason to believe that this use is going to be hazardous or disturbing, then that would be a reason to deny it. But the fact that the applicant has not proven with any certainty that it will not be hazardous is not a reason to deny it, if that makes sense.
And just a point of information, while staff summarizes these standards up on here, if you look in your staff report, the full language is there if you need to review that any further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, just let me say that some of the conditions that were suggested in the report that I have spoke to remedies or protections against sound that that the Michigan Department of Transportation is saying doesn't work. So I'm sitting here saying, in my mind, there's a question of the fitness of this particular item. I mean, I'm not saying the design in all other aspects is not very good, not done very well, but I'm not sure that we're protecting that the design protects the health and welfare of the residents that will be next to it. And boy, it just goes against everything that I've run into in terms of my life, in terms of offering designs up to be used by the public, that we should make sure those designs are robust, that they do work, and that they are safe. And I would hope the applicant would have brought that information to us. I would hope that we would have asked the applicant to bring that information to us.
As a point of order, we're considering the special exception permit, not the site plan right now. So these standards for approval are for the special exception permit and not for the site plan approval. Those have separate conditions for approval.
Thank you, Morgan. Can I interrupt? Corey, could you put the map back up that shows the different zoning on the street, the different colored blocks, please? Thank you. Okay, so what I'm seeing is a lot of similar color to the proposed special exception around that site. My little eyeballs see that.
What about all the yellow?
Excuse me, please do not talk from the audience. We closed public hearing. Do we know, Mark, did the petitioner say anything about talking to the neighbors close by? Did he bring that into your packet at all?
Sorry, I have not heard from the applicant that he has talked to the neighbors.
Okay, right. Well, I'm going to pivot now to Sue. Not that I'm shutting you off, Christopher, but Sue, do you have a thought right now you want to share?
Do we have an aerial photo? An aerial view? I know
It's
we
very
do.
zoomed out.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to make sure that it was up and you can see what's adjacent to it. That's it. Thanks.
Sam, do you have anything you want to add?
I guess I just want to add some clarity to the MDOT document that you referenced, Chris, in that MDOT guidance only pertains to thoroughfares under MDOT's jurisdiction, which are the large thoroughfares, and highways and freeways, which have vehicles traveling at much faster speeds, and there are significantly more vehicles per day traveling on those thoroughfares. These other roads, whether they're county or state or local roads, fall under a different jurisdiction and have different design standards. And you can't really equate that the barrier, which while it is relevant for highway speeds and highway traffic, cannot be said the same for non-automotive uses on actual parcel. It's not apples to apples, and you can't make that comparison. That's all I have to add.
Thank you, Sam. Christopher, I didn't mean, like I said, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, those are just my concerns that, well, I can't, my concern is that that I'm just not comfortable with the design not being somewhat disturbing to the residents around it, just for that only one item of noise. And I'm not sure we really have raised that question to the applicant in such a way that we can make a determination. So.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything else, Tim?
Nope.
Okay. My thought about this is, as I'm looking at this aerial, thank you for asking that to be put up. That Rocket Burger, I never went there, but I know it's been there for a very, very long time, and I think it's been closed for a very, very long time. And there's a lot of change in what's happening overall. Car washes were not a popular thing to build, and they're seemingly on fire right now. It's a good investment potentially for the person that wants to build that type of business. Will it become oversaturated? That's a possibility. But we struggled with this before, Christopher, when we've been on this planning commission about the dollar stores, because we were asking how many are in the city already, and there's some within the same mile of the other one. Again, please be quiet in the audience. Please be quiet in the audience. So I don't want to impede a business. If it's going to be something that becomes a sound concern, I think we're going to have to pivot to our code enforcement on that. And if it becomes a consistent problem, then that would be something that code enforcement would have to address with the business owner. So for what this is in front of me tonight, I don't see a problem approving this exception. I think it's something that the community will probably use, even if it's just to vacuum out their car. But I'm in favor of this.
Chair,
Yes.
if I may, I don't know if this is appropriate. The applicant's representative, his engineer or architect is here. Maybe he can add, answer some of the questions regarding the sound, maybe briefly. I don't know if that's appropriate.
If you'd like to approach the podium, if you have anything that you'd like to add about the question of sound for this particular item, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, commissioners and members of in the audience. My name is David Allen, and we're the planners for this project, Sketch Design Group. And what we can propose for the vacuums, if that's the area of noise what we're speaking of, we relocated that toward the north side of the property. We put a wall up there as well, 4-foot wall to somewhat buffer some of the sound that would carry from the vacuums. We also have a wall on the west side of the property as well, 6 foot. If we can go higher, we can do that as well. And that would indeed buffer some of the sound coming from the vacuums as well. On the south side of the property, that's not been addressed yet. I'm not sure if that's residential on that south. I'm not sure right now. But if need be, wherever there's sound retention that's coming on into the area, we can definitely put a wall up. That's not a problem.
Thank you
Try
for
and
that.
buffer as much sound as we could.
Thank you. Have you built a car? Have you worked with car washes before for clients?
I've worked with several. I've done 2 different car washes before. Other than that, I've done a lot of different other projects where retaining walls or sound buffering walls or berms even had to be put up to curb sound.
Understandable.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
If I may,
Yes, go right ahead.
do you have an estimate of what the sound's going to be? I know we're saying it's a little, it's not much, but do you have a quantitative estimate of what the sound is going to be? That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, let me see if we got a decibel on that. I'm not sure yet.
And it might be as simple as how much sound does the blower put out? And if the blower is fairly quiet and it's inside a building, then yeah. But I mean, I don't have anything here.
Well, you have a good point because that's really based upon the type of equipment that you put in there.
Yeah.
What we're looking at putting in is the best sound attentive equipment in this location. Decibel-wise, I'm not sure on that one yet, as far as that equipment is.
If I may provide a point of clarification, the ordinance sets the decibel limit at the property line rather than the sound emitted specifically at the source. So just keep that in mind if we get a decibel level.
Thank you, Corey.
Applicant, again, Ali Arsad. I got the estimate for the car wash equipment. I'm looking for the decibels for you, Chris. But like I said earlier, it's going to be up to date, modern, the quietest car wash around. That's what I meant to say earlier. I didn't mean quiet car wash. I meant the quietest car wash that you can build, but it's possible.
And by the way, I would anticipate that the company that is manufacturing the equipment is going to be facing these same issues in any other community where they're installing the equipment.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, this is the same company that installs Wayne County, Washtenaw,
right.
Oakland County. I
Right.
mean,
And everyone
and
has
they've never had any issues where a customer complains, their customer, and said it's too loud for my residents.
Thank
You know, like I said, we went to seminars, conventions, and we we heard, I mean, we heard everything, and I mean, it
You've
was
done
good
your
with us.
research, so
Yes,
thank you
absolutely.
for that.
Absolutely.
So I would like to have a motion, please. Would you like to make a motion for us? An emotional motion? We need a microphone, thanks.
All right. I move to approve the requested special exemption permit for an automobile service facility at 1375 Baldwin Avenue based on the findings of fact identified in the staff report and with the 4 conditions outlined in the staff report.
Support, Sinclair.
All right, Commissioner Sinclair,
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Northcross,
No, deny.
Commissioner Henley,
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Shepard,
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Parlov.
Yes to approve.
Motion passes.
Congratulations on your first portion. So what we have next is we have our public comment. And after we have public comment, we're going to then go to the site plan review for the same applicant. So the rules for public comment, the guidelines for public comment, again, are 3 minutes for anyone to come to the microphone, say what you'd like to say about any topic in our city, and state your name and address for the record. Once you are done with your comments, please sit and remain quiet. 1 comment per person today. Thank you. Public
Thank you
comment is
again.
open.
Again, representative of Safeway Quick Lube. I guess because you said we could say anything, and I couldn't ask the question while you guys were talking because public comment was over, I was looking at one of the, and just for disclosure, I am an attorney, just to make sure we follow along, but one of, and you guys have made your decision, but I'm hoping for future businesses coming forward, one of the things is if it's harmonious with the master plan. Well, that's a very vague statement, because what is the master plan of the city? That being, is it going to be diverse? What types of businesses does the city want? Where is this in the ordinances? I mean, I agree, you can't limit businesses, and it's not your job to say, yes, we want this type of business, or we don't. And I understand based on the conditions, if they're met, then you guys approve. But those conditions you see are very vague and unambiguous that give you discretion to make that decision. And it could be whether, as Mr. Northcross had indicated, noise levels or hazardness. And I mean, it's an oil change. There's going to be hazard in the environment. This is known, any automotive industry. And as I hear from the public and stating, do we need more of this? Obviously, it's not your decision to say, I don't think we need more, but I'm on this board and I can't really say if I want it or not. We're only here to approve if it meets the conditions. But remember, for a special use exception, that is your job. I mean, you're allowed to have discretion in saying, yes, we believe it's hazardous. Yes, we don't believe it meets the master plan because it's not diverse. We have 3 other ones down the street. That's what you have control over. So I kind of disagree with, we're not allowed to pick specific businesses. You are correct, you're not, but you use the discretion of the conditions. And I believe as it to the site plan, I can't really speak to that because I don't know what you guys are going to approve or not. But I will say that decimal readings would be important. I've actually fought those in cities and have defended clients who have over decimal points, and you actually won't know that until they're actually into the car wash. Yes, the manufacturer will tell you what decimal reading, but I agree with Casey. Usually it's based on the line. So that's all, and I appreciate your time, and I thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Sorry, guys. Good afternoon again. You said I can speak on any subject. Is that okay? First, this is not a criticism. This is just a clarity and understanding so we can follow along. I looked on the website today because I knew there was a special meeting. I got confused with the time. It's not on the website on the calendar. Is it possible you guys can put your meetings on calendar along with other things per? Even though you have a list of when your meeting is going to be, it does change. So putting it on a calendar will help people to relate more because a lot of people do look at that calendar daily. Another thing, on your on your agenda, is it possible, council does a good job of doing this, they put the board member's name up here on paper so you can follow along. Is it possible that you can put this on your sheet to help along for people like me who don't know anyone, and people who's on the website looking at this to know each individual? Okay, so that's out the way. Sorry,
Thank
guys.
you. That's okay.
A question is being asked. The question that I actually have, along with the gentleman who just spoke, is that you have this is a special meeting. Noise is a factor in a car wash. That to me, and I don't agree with a lot of things Mr. Norcross says, but I do agree with this. A car wash is noise, no matter how you look at it and what kind of technology we have. The way it's located, it's not a high traffic area, which is noise. Once you start that car wash, you have line up noise. So you have to take into consideration not so much as the machines, the type of traffic, summertime, the bumpity, going down the streets to get their car washes, the people hanging out with the outdoor machines, with the vacuum cleaners. All those things you have to take into consideration, because once they close that door, they don't have a gate, because you're talking about Baldwin. You're not talking about a main street with department stores. That means, though, you're going to start bringing that traffic that you work hard to get rid of. They don't have a front gate to shut it off. They have something to bring the doors down maybe, but nothing to keep that parking lot to being addressed. Is that side of town a bad town? In actuality, when I was younger in my first marriage, I lived on that side of town. And let me tell you, you talking about Chicago don't sleep? That side of town do not sleep. And that's what they're accustomed to. There's nothing wrong with it. That's just what they're accustomed to. But you're going to bring in more.
Got your time. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wanted to speak at public comment? It doesn't look like that's the case. Oh. All right, then I'm going to close public comment. For staff, regarding the calendar, I'm not exactly sure how that works internally.
Me either, but I will talk to Mark and we'll look into it.
Thank you.
I can also look into the agenda issue as well if that is the interest of the board.
Okay, thank you. All right, then we are ready to go to our next item, which is SPR 24-008. It's the site plan review for Ali Saad at 1378 Baldwin Avenue. And do we have, who's doing our presentation? Is it you?
Yep.
Okay, go right ahead, thanks.
All right, so this is a continuation of the special exception we just heard. This will be the associated site plan, 1375 Baldwin Avenue, automotive services in a C3 corridor commercial district. The applicant is proposing to remove the existing structure on site, the fast food restaurant, and build a new car wash and oil change facility. The proposed building is 7,401 square feet and will include 15 typical parking spaces and an additional 14 vacuum parking spaces. Staff recommends the proposed site plans be approved with 7 conditions. We've already been through this a few times, but just as a recap, the applicant is proposing the car wash is going to be located right here. That's the tunnel. There will be the stacking lanes primarily over here, but also a lane here. The stacking lanes for the oil change will occur right here. The applicant is proposing 2 access drives and the elimination of 1. This is something that the city engineer is thrilled about. And then up here, the applicant is proposing 1 additional purely an exit drive to the north. Let's see, the dumpsters will be located back here, exiting out in front of you. So with that, staff did conduct a review and identified a few zoning compliance issues that will need to be addressed before any final approval is issued. I will go through those now. In terms of dimension and development standards, the proposed setbacks comply with the zoning ordinance. However, both parcels will need to be combined for this to be true. Approval of this combination should be a condition of any site plan approval. In terms of private frontage design standards, a calculation on the percent transparency of the front facade is still needed. Once we get that number, we can verify compliance with the frontage design standards. In terms of parking, there must be one tree for every 30 linear feet of frontage. The site plans do not indicate any trees along the north property line where 7 are required. And also, please indicate on the site plans which spaces will be barrier-free, and provide the dimensions of the van-accessible access aisle. The site plans erroneously indicate 6 barrier-free spaces, but only 1 appears to be provided. It could just be that they weren't labeled, so I just need that information. As far as landscaping and buffering, 1 deciduous canopy tree is required for every 30 feet of street frontage. Please provide the quantity, caliper size, and height at the time of planting for all landscaping. And the plan should be revised to include 2 canopy trees for every 100 lineal feet to comply with the requirements for a type A buffer. So to be clear, that last bullet point is just where the property abuts the residential to the west. They're required 2 canopy trees in addition to the already proposed masonry wall. In regards to exterior lighting, the proposed wall packs do not appear to be fully shielded nor downward facing. Please revise the plans to include compliant light fixtures. And please provide photometrics at the time of final site plan. We use those to verify compliance with light intensity to make sure there isn't spillage onto adjacent properties. In regards to low impact development standards, we'll need details on the stormwater pretreatment plan. That should be provided again at the final site plan level. That will be reviewed and approved by the city engineer. So again, those are all the compliance issues. In terms of standards for approval, in regards to circulation, the site would appear to be sufficient for traffic and pedestrian circulation. The primary issue that staff had was also identified by the Planning Commission in terms of where those vacuuming spaces were located, and the applicant has proposed to relocate those into a more sensible location. In terms of buildings, the existing building would not appear to present any adverse impacts on adjacent properties. For natural features, there are no existing natural features on site in need of preservation or protection. In terms of site layout and screening, the site is appropriately buffered from adjacent properties, and the site is appropriately laid out to minimize off-site impacts. And lastly, compliance with the zoning ordinance. Plans will need to be revised to address the zoning deficiencies identified in the staff report. In summary, the structure and layout of the site appear to be suitable for the proposed use, and there are no major risks to public health, safety, and welfare. However, there are some issues that need to be addressed. A plan for managing hazardous materials must be provided, and the applicant must commit to providing the required number of trees. Furthermore, the applicant will need to secure a lot combination and special exception permit prior to final site plan approval. With that, staff recommends approval with 7 conditions. 1, both parcels must be combined. 2, all conditions of the associated special exception permit must be honored. 3, the percent transparency of the front facade must be at least 40%. 4, the quantity, caliper, and height at the time of planting for all proposed trees must be provided. And trees must be provided along the property lines in the following amounts. To the north side, 7 trees. To the south, 8. To the east, 9. And to the west, 2 for every 100 feet. 5, barrier-free parking spaces should be labeled, dimensioned, and the plans must indicate the correct number of spaces. 6, exterior lighting must be downward facing and fully shielded. 7, the following additional materials must be provided at the time of final site plan review: a photometric plan, hazardous materials mitigation plan, and a stormwater pretreatment plan. And with that, those are your standard motions.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions right now, Tim, for staff?
No.
Okay. Christopher, any questions for staff?
It's the same question, that we do not have an estimate of the sound level at the property line. So for that reason, I have a concern that this will be hazardous to the residents. And let me also say, I'm not sure that's something we've asked the applicant to provide, but I know I have asked that it be provided. And I think that's, I think it's only prudent that that if we think there's a risk, we do assess that risk, and to leave that risk unassessed, I don't think is, for me, it's not the way I want to do business.
Thank you. Sue, any comments?
Mark or Corey, can you clarify the decibel rating in our noise ordinance? Do we actually have an assigned decibel rating?
When you say an assigned decibel rating, what we have in the ordinance is requirements for what the sound level may not exceed at the property line.
And what is that?
I believe it's 65, but let me confirm, so I'm giving you accurate information.
Okay, thank you.
Well, he may need to hear what some of the questions are, so I'll just wait.
Confirmed, it's 65 decibels.
Thank you.
Sam, do you have anything?
Not for staff.
Okay. I don't have anything either, other than I'm impressed with the package that we've been given with the information that's in it. This site plan looks like it's a first-class building that's going to be built. So if our applicant would like to come up to the microphone so you can talk about your site plan with us, please.
Applicant Ali Arsad. All right.
Thank you. What would you like to say that has not yet been said about your site plan?
Thank you all very much. First of all, appreciate that. We're like I said, we're so excited, and we're gonna make this a state of the art, and we're gonna definitely put Pontiac on the map for this one, and bring everybody in and just give them A1 service. I don't know what else to say. I'm just very excited, and what you see on the plans is what you're gonna get, and you'll be amazed. I promise you. And thanks for the opportunity again.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Your cohort, do you have anything that you wanted to add about the site plan that has not already been said?
Most everything has been said about the site plan, but just to kind of reiterate what I was saying, the businesses that he runs are all first class. The ones that I've all seen and been involved with, he doesn't shy away from not doing it right at all, and he believes in doing it right. I help him in other cities and townships, so I know what you're going to get is going to be definitely well worth it, and we're going to definitely try to accommodate what you're referencing, because we definitely believe in keeping the sound down as well. I don't like a lot of noise either.
Thank you for that information. For staff, do you know, just off the cuff, do you know if our decibel level is consistent with other communities? Are we higher? Are we lower? Has this been a topic of conversation at all internally?
So I have looked at a few other communities, including Flint, and it is right in line with Flint.
Okay. All right. So we're not doing something that we're being quieter than other communities. Okay. That's helpful to know. And for our applicant, just out of curiosity, you had mentioned that you've worked on other car washes as a project.
This is the first.
Okay.
Yep. We develop dealerships.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have, like I said, we have several properties we're going to be working on, like what we're doing now with other counties.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming the neighbors have been happy with your business? No
Oh,
one's-
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. They're very happy. And we're very close with our community. We give back. I mean, we work with all nonprofit organizations, churches, schools, so we give back.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And we're going to do the same thing for Pontiac, of
I was
course.
just going to say, we're excited to have you work with us again.
Thank you.
All right, so Tim, any questions?
Couple questions, but first of all, it sounds like you listen, which is good.
Yes.
You moved, I think it was the engineer that spoke earlier, you moved probably the noisiest part of this that no one's talking about is the vacuum cleaners. But you moved those to the north side where there's no residential, and you talked about a wall, so you kind of heard what was going on. My questions would be, material-wise, it says aluminum siding on the top. Do you have renderings, or can you explain it? Yeah, two-part question. That and what the brick facade is, and if the colors and everything else that you're using. So.
Yeah, the material at the top is composite material, aluminum composite material, ACM. And it comes in different colors, and what we're looking at, I think, is more of a silver-like color. And then the building, well, you can speak to the colors. But the materials that we're putting in is a really good material for the buildings. It doesn't wash away and deteriorate.
Is it a red brick? What is the look of it? It's just a panel brick, is that right?
This is going to be more of a panel brick. It's going to be the brick itself.
Oh, it is brick?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe I misread it, so. All right, I think that's, and then the siding will look like metal then, or will it look like wood? You said it's a composite.
It actually looks like aluminum.
Looks like aluminum.
Yes. Okay. We can provide.
The facial?
Yeah, at the top.
ACM.
ACM.
Material.
Yeah.
What's it called?
ACM, aluminum composite material.
I mean, everything looks great. I'm not criticizing that. I just want to see it because it's hard to tell exactly what you got on here. But you guys have seen it. So. Yeah, I mean, everything I see looks great. So
same material you see at the big three dealerships, Chevy. You know, the blue ACM or silver.
Oh, okay.
Chrysler.
Okay.
Blue for Ford. Same material.
All right, good. Thank you for explaining.
Yep.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chris? Oh, sure. Right ahead. Go ahead.
And you said that it's going to be a silver material? There's no indication of the color. And I'm curious if it's going to be like
the aluminum, yeah. We haven't made that decision yet on the color. Sorry.
Not going to be some crazy.
It's going to be
or anything like that.
crazy pink or purple. No, it's going to be a modern look. Yeah.
And then the color of the brick is yet to be chosen as well.
I mean, the brick is just going to be regular brick, right? We're not going to paint it.
Is it red brick?
No.
Additional?
Are you talking about behind the building?
On the building.
On the building. Oh, on the building. Sorry.
That's okay.
I was thinking the wall and the back, and I'm like, why would we paint it red? We're not sure yet, but it's gonna match. It's gonna be uniform, but it comes different colors. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is that all you have?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right.
Right.
All right, Christopher, please ask your questions.
Well, no questions. I just, I too think the drawings were very good. And again, thank you for coming here to Pontiac. The opposition I have is not because of anything that I, in your drawings. It's that the big question, given the nature of the business, the close proximity of the residential area, I'm erring to the side of, I'm siding to the side. I'm going with the cautious thing that if I don't know, then that I'm considering it hazardous.
That's understood.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's
Sue?
it.
Couple things. I just looked up on my phone, and OSHA, Occupational Safety Health Administration, has a limit on car wash noise of 85 dB. So that means if employees are working in there with 85 dB, if our ordinance is measured at the property line, we're going to be below the 65 dB. With that.
It's going to be way below that.
Right.
And Commissioner Sinclair, if I could just add to that, the applicant mentioned this as part of the special exception. The dryers are usually what causes the most noise, and that's being located on the east side adjacent to Baldwin Avenue. So the farthest, and it's on the north side of the property, so it's the farthest away from the residential properties.
Thank you for clarifying
Yep.
that. I do want to thank you for updating your site plan and bringing
Thank
that.
you for bringing that up to our attention last meeting.
Yeah, that was a huge
Yeah.
factor for me. Although I am not seeing on the south side of the property any trees. You do have residential there. The headlight glare will be minimal because you're so far away, but I just wanted to point that out. And definitely updating that site plan helps me with my concern regarding people loitering there at night after they've had their cars repaired. And the one thing that we brought up last time, Commissioner Norcross mentioned it, as well as Chair Parlov, is the entrance on the north side. I understand why you have it. And is it necessary? I know that the fire department has approved this, but I see why it's necessary, but I don't like it. I know that a portion of Sheffield is industrial, but it does turn into residential. And I'm really adverse to any business adding any traffic to a residential street. And I appreciate you removing the approach on the east side as well. So I'm going to add to that just now. On your site plan, it doesn't say that you have that 4-foot wall in front of the vacuum spaces. I don't see that on here. And it,
Yeah, there is a wall. Let me see.
yeah, you noted it. That's why
Right.
I'm bringing it up. And then there's a line across this approach on the north side. Is that like a gate, or is that just a error?
That's, no, that's the property line, the
Oh,
dash
okay.
dot line.
Okay, now I
property
see it.
line,
Now
yes.
I see it.
But we would like to possibly put a gate across the entrances.
Absolutely. We're gonna
You
lock
know,
that every-
we would definitely want to have that,
It's going to be locked.
you know, have your gate.
On the
Right.
north side, just the north side?
Across the entrances. So after it's
To
closed,
the entrance or the corner?
the entrances.
No, the corner. There's
The
a wall
corner?
gate on, yeah.
Okay.
The exit only.
Okay.
The exit only, we're gonna gate it and lock it up every night.
Because what we're looking at with this, speaking, if I may speak to the north side of the property, egress, we would like to use that. That's definitely only used for an escape lane.
And we'll have a sign to exit only.
Exactly. We have a sign, exit only, and I have that on the drawing, exit only. And we'll also say right turn only.
Yes.
So we're not turning into the residential.
Residential, exactly. We're going straight on Baldwin.
Well, if you live in Pontiac, you know all of our vehicular traffic is not always law-abiding.
Everywhere.
So,
But at least we put it up for them to know that that's what we,
well, you've covered yourself.
exactly.
If you when you update the site plan, because you have to have, correct me if I'm wrong, Corey or Mark, on the Princeton Avenue side, he needs how many trees per 100 feet?
Let me pull
One?
that up.
Oh, 8 trees. I
8
see it
trees,
now.
yep.
When you place those, if
Oh, is
you,
that north? Sorry, what?
in the conditions of approval, it says 8.
Sorry, I'm lost. What happened?
I'm talking about trees on
Okay.
on the south side of the property. On here, it says, in your conditions of approval, 8 trees.
On the south side.
Yes.
Is that incorrect?
No.
Oh, okay.
We were just getting the streets.
Sorry, people were talking to me and I was getting confused.
Okay. My comment is, when you place those trees,
Yes.
be cognizant of the residences that are on the south side of the street. I think you maybe only hit about 2 houses. And those are my only comments. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you as well.
Thank you.
All right, Sam, anything more?
Just 2 real quick things. So on the overall site plan, I just see the free car wash lane and the free oil change ticket station. So does that mean if we enter in from the south, we get all the services for free?
Only if you come out of the oil change side, yes. And there's going to be tokens or tickets we're going to provide.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm going to watch you on that one.
You can, yeah. And then, so obviously you're reusing the approaches on Baldwin Avenue. Just based on like the street view and the aerial, those don't look to be in the best condition. I didn't know if you had plans to rebuild those or if you're just planning to connect to them at the property line or.
We're building a brand new facility, so we're planning on putting new concrete for sure.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good to know. Okay, and I guess just to add my own 2 cents to this whole noise debacle, you know, Tim's already talked about the vacuums and Mark talked about the blowers being the primary noise producer on the actual car wash tunnel. But, you know, the burden of proof is on us as the Planning Commission to find evidence that it will be a nuisance. And I frankly see the opposite. I mean, the blowers are at the very east end of the building near Baldwin Avenue, which is, based on my rough pen measuring skills, 200 to 220 feet away from the property line, you know, and then add on some more of that to actually get to any adjacent residences, along with any information Sue noted. I see 0 evidence to believe that noise will be an issue for the surrounding residences, and I just wanted to make my opinions clear on that.
Thank you, that's very helpful. I appreciate your rough measuring. I'm sure it's
Thank you.
very close to accurate, if not spot on. And I don't have any questions. Everything looks great to me. Everyone's asked questions that satisfied my curiosity, so I am ready for a motion.
Throw it to Sam.
Sam, you want a motion?
Yes. Oh. I move to approve the requested site plan for an automobile service facility at 1375 Baldwin Avenue based on the findings of fact identified in the staff report and with the 7 conditions outlined in the staff report.
Support, Sinclair.
Commissioner Northcross.
No to deny.
Commissioner Shepard.
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Henley.
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Sinclair.
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Parlov.
Yes to approve. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Now go get started.
As soon as we get the permits, we're going to start right away.
Very good. Thank
Thank you.
you. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
All right, shall we continue, or did you need to take a break? Are you good to keep going? Okay, good. Our next item on our agenda is application SPR 24-003, Naid Canona, right? Site plan review for 140 East Huron Street. It's the expansion to the liquor store.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Justin Curry. I'm one of the planners here, and I will be going over the site plan application for the application number SPR 24-003 for Mr. Canoma. The application site plan review is located at 140 East Huron Street. The request for the applicant is an expansion to the liquor store located in a C1 zoning district, and the area is 0.50 acres. The applicant proposes a commercial kitchen at the rear of the current liquor store, the Huron Liquor Shop. Basman Hajar, the applicant, successfully petitioned for a variance on March 18th, 2024, reducing the required rear setback from 20 feet to 3 feet. The proposed kitchen addition spans 564 square feet and received approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals. The setback will be reduced from 15.03 feet, which is the setback of the existing building, to 3.37, and one tree will be removed. The adjacent property directly to the south is vacant and underdeveloped. The applicant's request stems from the increasing demand for specific food services from the clientele who patrons the business. And we can see here that the location is centered here, right in between Mechanic and Union. And we happen to have the zoning map here, which shows another view of the C1 zoning district. The dot shows the exact location here of where the Huron Liquor Shop is. And we have a sketch here of the site plan. The red outline here shows the addition to the property. And this is a carry-out service here. There will be no indoor seating. We have two images here, one from the rear and the other here in front of the Huron Liquor Shop. As you can see here, there are some conditions here which will be happening to go over later in the presentation, but the sidewalk is one of those conditions here that needs to be revamped. Staff review concludes here, due to the fact that the site exists, the applicant is proposing a simple rear yard expansion. Most of the requirements in the zoning ordinance are either not applicable or the current conditions are grandfathered. The applicant is not proposing any new landscaping or exterior lighting necessitating review. The applicant is not proposing a use that poses a risk of negative off-site impacts, as all operations are conducted indoors, and the site will remain primarily as a walk-in retail. The parking lot will remain as is and comply with the zoning ordinance. The dumpster pad and loading pad space will remain untouched. The expansion of a commercial use adjacent to residentially zoned property requires a type A buffer. The plan should be revised to include a 4-foot 6-inch to 6-foot tall masonry wall with 5 feet of green space. And the portion of the property in which the expansion extends is excused from the required 5-foot landscaping buffer due to the variance issued by the ZBA. Trees may be permitted in the clear vision area if limbs and foliage are trimmed so that they do not block visibility or otherwise create a traffic hazard. And the standards of approval here regarding the circulation, the site seems sufficient for traffic and pedestrian circulation. There are 2 access drives, one off Union Street and another on Mechanic Street. Buildings, the current structure does not seem to pose any adverse impacts on adjacent properties. Natural features, there are no existing natural features on site in need of preservation or buffering. And site layout and screening, the site layout and screening appear to be adequate. In compliance with the zoning ordinance, the plan must be revised to include, again, a type A buffer along the south property line. Staff recommends the Planning Commission approve the requested site plan with 4 conditions, which again, a type A buffer must be provided along the south property line per section 4.505 of the zoning ordinance before issuance of the final site plan. The applicant shall replace trees along Huron Street per the city zoning ordinance, along Huron Street and Mechanic Streets per section 4.407A, and the applicant shall repair and replace the sidewalk along West Huron Street and Union Street and replace the curb apron on Union Street as part of the right-of-way permit. Also, lastly, the pylon sign needs repair and repainted to match the city zoning code sign maintenance requirements by August 15th, later this summer. And I have the motions here visible for your point of reference. And if you have any questions, that concludes my presentation.
Justin, thank you very much for that presentation. I just wanted to supplement that on conditions 2 through 4 that are placed up there. The applicant went through a pre-application meeting, has obviously gone through the ZBA, and just in doing review of the site plan and also with one of our city engineers, we found that with condition number 2 on the landscaping, they did have tree buffers along, or they did have trees in front between the parking lot and the and Huron Street, excuse me, and also a couple on Union Street until 2021. So we don't know why they were taken down. I noticed that the tree height was very close to the DTE wires. So any replacement, I think we can work with them to make sure that the appropriate height is there, that it doesn't impede on that. Regarding number 3, just reviewing the standards for sidewalks and the curb aprons, this would just be a massive improvement just to bring it back to standard, and this is a good time to place this condition. And with number 4, this is not replacing any of the placards in the sign, but we want to make sure this sign follows our zoning ordinance and is well maintained, and this condition would satisfy that. The city is providing the applicant approximately 3 months to get this done, because this should not take a lot of work to repaint or repair the sign to get it up in place. But conditions 2 through 4 are part of the standards of approval, looking at the zoning code and the property maintenance code that we did add on here, and I just wanted to provide some context on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and good job, Justin. Thank you for the information. Tim, do you have any questions for staff?
No questions, but just a comment. I like how we're able to do that. And, you know, we can ask of that at this time, and it's the right way to do it. So some nice improvements that I'm sure the owner of the property will be appreciative of that too. So that's all.
Great, thank you. Christopher, anything for staff?
Yeah, I agree that this is, the items that we're asking for will be a definite improvement for that area, for the property. I do have a question about commercial kitchen, that term. Is there anything in commercial kitchen construction, design, or something that speaks to the types of odors that will be emitted from the kitchen? Maybe it's in the ducting work or filtration or something that's required?
As part of a site plan process, there is nothing for planning staff or planning commission to really review for a restaurant. There are certain land uses, marijuana is a great example, that they are required to do a filtration system. I did talk to our building official today about your question that was posed over email, and really it's restaurants, this is not a requirement for restaurants, and it is not done at all. The only example I can think of that of a similar land use that may require a filtration system that I think we could do that is, I grew up next to a brewery, not a microbrewery, an actual brewery, and there would be some smells emitted that a filtration system would have limited that. Something like a mushroom farm is very pungent, that's a little different, but there are a lot of restaurants that exist both around Pontiac and Michigan and nationwide, and there are really it's not the purview just because of odors. It has to be noxious odors and really proven as part of that, so thank you.
Okay, yeah. Again, as we start to get closer and closer to each other, anything that's given off from one person to another can really affect the overall
The challenge
harmony of the community.
The challenge staff has is measuring that in such a way that is enforceable. So, but I think we can definitely take that under consideration as we move forward, administering the zoning ordinance. So.
And perhaps this is an item we want to speak to as we go through our master planning process, a dimension of our performance standards that we bring into consideration as we talk about what we want next to what and how that would work.
Yeah.
So, okay, but I thought it was very astute of the business to understand the potential that's there in terms of more business. I mean, they have a whole development of housing to the east of them, and plus the traffic that's starting to pick up and come through there and in downtown and other areas. So, very good, very good. Okay, no other questions?
Thank you, I appreciate that. Sue?
Question to Mark, has the fire department reviewed this plan? Justin?
The fire department has reviewed this plan, yes.
Okay. I'll reserve my questions for the site plan.
All right, thank you. Sam?
This is
anything?
the site plan. Yeah.
Is the applicant going to speak?
The applicant will speak. I will say about the fire department, generally they are favorable to these expansion reviews. A lot of times when they're servicing a business that may need their services, they're a lot of times parking on the right of way. They're not entering the site. And where this is being located at the rear of the building should not impact their services. But I think that that's part of their general review for any applications. So
My concern is it appears that you're losing 2 entrances off the back, and there's no rear entrance to this building anymore. Looks like there's only 2 entrances on the site plan, and one is through I can't read what that says, a back room.
yeah. That's an excellent point. As part of the building permit review process, the fire department will review, and the applicant will need to get proper ingress and egress. And if a rear emergency exit door is needed back there, particularly adjacent to the restaurant, adjacent to the fence that's back there, they would be able to do it without having to go back through planning commission. So we can address that at that time. But that review process of the internal flow and the necessary external exits has not fully been completed yet, and that'll be done as part of the building permit review.
My other question mark is the ZBA granted a variance on the setback. So basically the applicant has 3.37 feet off the property line, and he's being required to put a masonry wall behind that, 4'6" to 6 feet tall. So there's only, 2'6" left then? Less than 2'6". Also with this is what, our site plan review, is the adjacent homeowner notified on a site plan review?
They are not as part of our zoning
Or
ordinance.
property owner, I should
Yep.
say.
Yep. However, they were notified when the variance came forward.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you, I appreciate that. All right, I'll wait to reserve the rest of my questions until we hear from the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify something that Sue brought forth, is that in the staff report it says they're not held to the 5-foot buffer for the type A behind the expansion, but they still are required to have the wall behind the building, the whole length of the property line, correct? Okay. That's all I have for now.
All right, I don't have any questions right now, so if our applicant is here, if you'd like to approach the podium. Is our applicant here?
They were provided the staff report and agenda, so I guess not.
Oh, well, there you go. So we won't talk to them, and we'll just move right along. All right, do you have anything else now, Tim?
No, I don't.
Okay. Christopher, anything else before we go to a motion?
No, I don't.
All right, Sue?
Based on the fact the applicant's not here, no. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sam?
Nope.
All right, I don't either. So with the recommendations on approval, we are just assuming that the applicant is okay with all this? Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you going to say something, Corey? Okay. I pivot to our legal scholar in the room. Do you have any input for us at this moment?
If you are concerned about the applicant not being here, then you could always move to postpone this and have it heard at another meeting.
Thank you for that. I think that would make several of us more comfortable, because I think there's some questions that some of our astute fellow commissioners would like answered. So, would someone like to make a motion?
I move to postpone the requested site plan for commercial kitchen expansion at 140 East Huron until the regularly scheduled June 5th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
Any support?
I'll support.
All right, thank you. Do you have that? Okay.
Commissioner Henley.
No to postpone.
Commissioner Sinclair.
Yes to postpone.
Commissioner Northcross,
Yes to postpone.
Commissioner Shepard,
Yes to postpone.
and Commissioner Parlov.
Yes to postpone.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So we're not saying no. We're just looking for a little more info. All right, thank you for that. And our last item we have is application number SPR 24-011. David, and I don't want to say your last name because I know I'm going to say it wrong, so I'm saving that. The site plan review for 1590 North Perry Street. It's a light manufacturing location.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right, so today's application is a continuation of a rezoning request that you heard several months ago. They are now coming forward with the site plan. The applicant is David Dedvukaj. The application is site plan review. The address is 1590 North Perry. The zoning district is C3, corridor commercial, and it's nearly 20 acres. The applicant is proposing to develop the wooded site with a new 152,825 square foot light manufacturing facility. The site will be buffered from the adjacent Galloway Estates neighborhood with 150% of the requirements for a type A buffer. This was a requirement of the rezoning. It was one of the conditions. Furthermore, the site will be connected to Galloway Estates by Pool Road, which will be gated and only used during emergencies. There will be parking in the front, north side, and rear of the site with 298 parking spaces total and 14 loading spaces with ample maneuvering lane width. The applicant is proposing an outdoor picnic patio space for employees as well as bike racks. The site was recently conditionally rezoned from R1, one-family dwelling, to C3, corridor commercial. There are several conditions attached to this approval that must be honored. So these are the rezoning conditions that were approved by the Planning Commission and City Council. Number one, the property shall not be used for the sale, growth, storage, transport, process, or manufacture of marijuana or marijuana products. Neither can it be a pet boarding facility, a community service facility, or for any lodging. Two, any approved site plan for the property must contain the following. A, the minimum building setback from Galloway Estates shall be 100 feet. B, the buffer distance between Galloway Lake Estates and the property shall be 30 feet wide. C, the required landscaping abutting Galloway Lake Estates shall exceed the requirements of the zoning ordinance by no less than 50%. D, a 4-foot berm shall be constructed on the side of the property which abuts Galloway Lake Estates. E, the facade facing Galloway Lake Park and the facade facing Galloway Lake Estates shall be comprised of no less than 16% windows. 3, contour windows shall not be entitled to use Pool Road for ingress or egress with the exception of emergency or fire access. This is where it's located within the city of Pontiac. You have Galloway Lake right here, Galloway Lake Estates here, and Galloway Lake Park here. And then you have North Perry Road over here. Within the zoning map, it sits, it's been rezoned now to C3, but it used to sit right here in R1. Galloway Lake Park adjacent, R1. The residential, I believe that's R1B. Then you have commercial along Perry, spots of commercial. This is the site plan. You can see the structure is a little irregular in shape. Much of this probably has to do with the floodplain that follows the creek over here. Parking, there will be some visitor parking in the front, as well as employee parking in the back. There's several loading spaces. I forget the total number here. I believe there's 14 overall. There's some in the front, some in the rear. There's a kind of grassed area, it looks like, over here, where there will be bike racks and a space for employees to eat lunch. To the north, there will be a buffer between Galloway Lake Estates and the parking lot, and that's Pool Road right there. Traffic will enter through various points at the front. This is a zoom in of the proposed landscaping. The most important point I want to draw your attention to is the proposed landscaping buffer between the parking lot and the residential area. I'll go into more detail later in the presentation, but we'll need a berm added here. That was one of the conditions of the rezoning, and some other buffer tools. These are the proposed facades. The materials proposed include smooth CMU for the base, horizontal metal paneling in tan and red for the rest. The majority of the facade appears to be composed of metal, which is not an approved primary building material, but can qualify as an accent material as long as it is no more than 40% of the front facade. So staff completed a review of the plans for zoning compliance, and there were a few non-compliance issues that need to be resolved. In terms of dimensions and development standards, prior to issuance of any final site plan, all 3 parcels must be combined. In terms of the facade design, more information on the percent coverage of each facade material and the percent transparency along Perry Street and where the building fronts Galloway Estates and Galloway Park must be provided to verify compliance with this standard. Parking, per the ordinance, 15 bicycle spaces are required, 1 per 20 required parking spaces. And while the site plans do indicate bike racks, it's unclear how many spaces in particular. The site plans indicate parking spaces are 9 feet by 18 feet. Spaces must be 20 feet deep unless a curb stop is provided, in which case the space may be only 18 feet deep. Furthermore, the site plan should indicate what color the spaces will be striped in. The ordinance permits yellow or white. We just need a statement on the plans. In terms of landscaping and buffering, the shrubs must be provided in the amount of 12 for every 100 lineal feet. That is the, I'm talking about the buffer between the parking area and Galloway Lake Estates. They're required 150% of the type A buffer requirements. So in order to achieve this, they are going to be required more bushes than they are currently offering. In terms of low impact development standards, it is unclear from the tree survey how many qualifying protected trees are proposed to be removed and how many trees are proposed in order to replace them. This is probably something that the Commission's a little less familiar with. I think the topic of tree preservation came up for 1420 North Telegraph. That was the last time we were doing a new large facility in a wooded area. Our ordinance does have protections for trees. You cannot cut down an excessive amount of trees. There's a whole system in place. We assess how many of those trees that you're removing are considered protected trees. And then from that, there's a credit system in terms of how you can plant back trees to replace what has been lost. Before we can even complete this analysis, we need verification that analysis was done as part of the site plan. And we need clear information in terms of how many qualifying protected trees are proposed to be removed. That will help us determine how many trees have to be planted. In terms of complying with the rezoning conditions, shrubs in the amount of 12 per every 100 feet, and a 4-foot berm is required where the property abuts Galloway Estates. The plan should be revised to include this. Furthermore, the percent transparency of the facade facing Galloway Lake Park and the facade facing Galloway Lake Estates must be provided and have no less than, I believe that was 16% windows. Let me confirm that. Yes, okay, the facade has to have at least 16% windows. I'm sorry about that. All right, so in terms of standards for approval, in terms of circulation, the site would appear to be sufficient for traffic and pedestrian circulation. There are 3 access points and a large parking lot that wraps around the building. Commercial truck traffic is directed to the south of the parking lot and to turn into the rear of the building, while employee and customer traffic is directed to the north and far east of the property. There are pedestrian sidewalks and a pedestrian crossing marked on the asphalt where pedestrians need to cross the route of commercial truck traffic. In terms of the buildings, the proposed building is designed so as to minimize negative impacts on adjacent properties. The building is located near the front of the parcel where it faces North Perry Street and is set back a considerable distance from Galloway Lake. Natural features, there is a creek that runs along the south property line and discharges into Galloway Lake. Along this creek is a floodplain. The site plans as proposed maintain the required 25-foot setbacks from all protected natural features. For site layout and screening, the plan should be revised to provide the required number of shrubs where adjacent to Galloway Estates. Compliance with the zoning ordinance. As identified in the staff report, some revisions must be made to comply with the zoning ordinance. And with that, staff's recommendation is approval with 6 conditions. 1, parcels must be combined. 2, the front facade must be no less than 60% qualifying primary materials and no greater than 40% accent materials. The plans must be revised to include the percent of each material on the front facade and the percent transparency on all sides. 3, the plans should be revised to include the total number of bike spaces. 4, parking spaces must be 9 feet by 20 feet, or a curb stop should be added to the 18-foot long spaces. In addition, the color of the striping must be identified on the plans. 5, the type A buffer and conditional rezoning where adjacent to Galloway Estates must be revised to include 12 bushes for every 100 feet and a berm. And 6, the plan should be revised to indicate the total number of protected trees proposed to be removed and the total number of replacement trees per the Woodland Preservation Ordinance. And I believe Mark has something to say.
So thank you, Corey, for that presentation. I do want to add a little bit here. Normally, as part of any site plan review, it's a month process. Planning reviews, but all the other agencies review. Unfortunately, engineering received a copy and not the original plan set, and they didn't fully see everything. So once they got the original plan set, after this staff report was published, they did provide a second engineering review sheet. And why I'm bringing that up is that the detention pond that's located at the south end of the property is slightly in the floodplain. They are going to have to move that out of there. We feel comfortable. The applicant feels comfortable. I talked to their engineer. The city feels comfortable. There's going to be some slight amendments with that. I did want to point that out. It's not really in the planning staff report, but it is something they're going to need to address. Typically, between preliminary and final site plan, there can be small changes. We only really bring something back to you, either a preliminary final, if we feel that it's a substantial change to the overall layout. But I mean, if there's a few changes in parking spaces, if there's a few changes in layout, really it's minor. You know, we can do that at a staff level. So I believe that's it. I think Corey talked about the conditions, which is a little unique about the site plan review for this. There's a different set of landscape standards. I did want to point out there are 3 access points, but some of those are actually going to be one way and really for their business operations. So a truck is it's not going to be something that's going to be hard to enforce because it's really the employees, the workflow that the trucks are going to enter in one entrance and out the other. So it's a little different. This is not a condition of approval, but I think this is a positive for the community. The applicant is showing on the plans they're going to be placing in a public sidewalk along the frontage on Perry Street. And this really creates a key connection as we're trying to get that mobility from different parts of the city. So I thank you for just letting me point out a few things and giving some context. I appreciate Corey did a great job on the presentation.
Absolutely. Yet again, thank you, Corey. And thank you, Mark. Tim, do you have any questions for staff?
No, I don't.
Okay. Christopher, anything?
Yes. I was reading the conditions for the zoning amendment, and there was section 8 that caught my eye, and I said, I'm not sure how to handle that. It basically says that, the state of Michigan, we will adhere to, I should have written that down. It says something to the effect of the laws of the state of Michigan are what we adhere to. Attorney, this would be section 8 of the subject condition zoning amendment. And I'm just wondering how that falls in line with our current ordinances, and does that in any way say we're wiping out our ability on our ordinances?
And Commissioner Northcross, this question did get posed to our attorney today, and I think there was a response in email. So even if we can't get it now, we'll get that to you in the next couple minutes here.
There is no, I guess I'm confused because there is no number 8 as a condition.
So it's not an offered condition from the applicant. It's actually part of our standard conditional rezoning agreement, which is included in the packet. And that is, I believe, comes from the State Zoning Enabling Act. But I think we would need to review that for a second and maybe get back to you very shortly. So
Yeah, the fact that it spoke to the state of Michigan law is what is used to control everything. And I says, does that supersede the ordinances of the city of Pontiac? I wasn't sure. But other than that,
I apologize. I can answer this question. So what you're talking about is on page 5 of the conditional rezoning agreement number 8, Michigan law to control. What that means is if in the event there's any lawsuit, all of the jurisdiction will be in the state of Michigan and the laws of the state of Michigan will apply. That's completely irrelevant to the conditions. I will say that Mark and I did discuss this earlier, and paragraph 1B of the conditional rezoning agreement specifically states that the property shall remain subject to all other zoning and use district regulations of the city zoning ordinance for property zoned corridor mixed use district C3 as applicable in accordance with the zoning of each respective parcel as set forth in table A1 above and as limited by contour windows offers of conditions, and shall remain subject to all other requirements of the city's building, zoning, and other land use regulations. So it's very, very explicit that the city's zoning ordinance still applies.
Great. I just wanted to note that I was confused exactly what that meant by the laws of the state of Michigan. Thank you. As I was saying, yes, this is a long process. I have to commend Contour Windows for interacting with the community. I like how they show the different housing that's on the other side of the boundary to say, yes, we're in the neighborhood, and we know that we have the neighborhood. Good. Thank you. That was my only question about this.
Great, thank you.
And it's been answered. The conditional zoning agreement. I find it now in my papers.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Sue?
No questions at this time.
All right, Sam, anything now?
I'll wait for the applicant.
Okay, very good. I don't have any questions either. So if our applicant can approach the podium, please state your name and address for the record.
And the business owner was hoping to be here tonight. He did express his apologies for having a conflict with another business event, but he's got his wonderful team here.
Oh,
so,
great.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Holly Carroll of Design House Architecture. It's 3300 Auburn Road, Auburn Hills, Michigan. And I am here to represent our client, and I appreciate all of you reviewing this and for your feedback. I think Mark and Corey, sorry, did a great job of showing the site plan and going over the plans for this project that we have. There are a couple of things that I just wanted to note on. So we are prepared to comply with all of the facade requirements. And for the bicycle parking, we have it shown on there, but we will make sure that we show the amount of spaces. There will be at least 15. That was the minimum required. And then also something that the fire department pointed out during their review, that access on Pool Road, that will be a gate, and we will have a Knox box there so that they're able to open it if needed. And then I'll let Mike talk about the tree and the landscape.
Thank you so far.
Hi, Mike Pizzola, Design House Architecture, 3300 Auburn Road, landscape architect. Yeah, I'm here to just go over the landscape plan and more importantly, the tree survey. I did the tree survey today, and basically there's probably about 458 trees on site. I'm sorry, 558 trees on site. And you may drive by and think it's a wooded site, but really it's a hazard. There's really not a whole lot in there worthwhile to save. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the trees, of those 558, about 128 of those are worthwhile. Part of your protected would be protected trees. But within that number, the building envelope itself, areas for stormwater and drive areas also are exempt from the preservation of the of that number of trees to be preserved, and that number is 20% of the regulated trees. Those need to be accounted for. But the building area and areas associated with that, like drainage areas, parking, that sort of thing, are exempt. And when you'll see next time, or when we do provide the tree survey, it overlays the site onto it. And the only trees that are worthwhile saving are those in the corridor of Galloway Creek, and those are all being saved. So essentially, no trees are being removed that are worthwhile. All the ones that are being removed are dead, dying, not any significant landscape value, or hazard to such that if the wind blows and you're walking through there, you're running a risk of a tree falling on you. So with that, landscaping will be provided for the parking, the buffer on the north. We'll have 128 more shrubs for the 150% increase. That equates to 128 more shrubs. They will be placed in specific areas along with the 4-foot berm. The shrubs will be flowering nature, so springtime there'll be pockets of flowering shrubbery through that buffer that they'll be recognizable. Frontage trees will be provided, and then as Holly noted, the bike racks will be accounted for, and a little area will be also provided in the back for the employees. So basically, yeah, we would be willing to comply with all the requirements, the conditions of approval, and final submittal will include the revised landscape with the incorporated buffer, the berm, and the tree preservation plan will also be provided.
Great. And I have a quick question. Is the directional north on this rendering accurate? Because the north arrow was wrong on some documents. Did I read that incorrectly somewhere?
I mean, that looks right to me.
Okay. All right, just making sure.
I just want to, if we could touch base, regardless of what decision is made today, but if we could touch base on the woodlands ordinance, I want to make sure that we're both interpreting it correctly. I followed most of what you said, but my understanding was parking lots weren't exempt. But let's touch base on that and connect on it later.
No problem.
Anything else you wanted to add before we go to questions from the commissioners?
No, we think this is a good project. It's a benefit for the community, and it'll create that, improve the site into a more viable option and more viable program for the city. And on top of that, I don't really have the number of employees anticipated, but the parking lot looks to me it's going to be pretty busy. So we use console windows on some of our other clients. Other multifamily projects use contour windows. So it's a good quality product, and we're excited about this.
Great, great. Well, thank you for bringing it to our town. Tim, questions for our applicant?
I don't have any questions. It looks great. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you. Christopher?
No other questions. Thank you for coming to Pontiac. Yeah, I'm excited. This is a nice addition.
We've been working on it for a while. I don't know if you remember this, 3 or 4 years ago, these used to be condos. We had condos 4 or 5 years ago. So
Proposed.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You were the owner then for that project?
The architects. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because we were here, Christopher, when they were talking about that.
Yes, I'm trying to remember that, and I remember we had some concerns about the wetlands, some other things. I'm not sure exactly how that worked out, but this works out great.
Yep.
However, forget that.
Yep.
This works out well.
I was concerned at first myself, but when I see the finished product, yeah, it's a great fit.
Great, great. Sue, anything?
Which entrance, is it the far north entrance is what the trucks will be utilizing? So is the intent for the truck to pull in and back into that truck dock? And on the north side, like the first, you have some longer parking spaces there. What are those for?
Does it look like delivery vehicle parking, trailer parking,
Okay.
truck, next to the loading docks, associated truck parking?
Okay. And then you're installing a vinyl coated chain link fence along the entire north side of the property into the water line?
Would probably be up to it.
Well, up to it, yeah. Question to staff. I'm looking at that existing residence and the approaches off of North Perry, where they kind of intersect. Does that meet our zoning ordinances?
So that was reviewed by the city engineer and approved. My understanding was it was met the zoning ordinance, but you're right, that does look very close. So I want to look at that further.
Okay, thank you. That's my only questions.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
No,
one
go ahead.
more. Little disappointed in the fire gate. I told the applicant last time I wanted to see the best thing that they had out there, and a pipe, I call it a pipe, round pipe gate is not very appealing to a homeowner in a relatively new neighborhood. That is not appealing at all. I said I wanted to see the best gate out there, so please convey that. Thank you.
Yeah, we can make that modification.
Well, really, as part of a site plan process tonight, if you feel comfortable, talk with the applicant. You really should condition this to give staff the authority to, if it's related to design, but that really should be a condition of approval if the planning commission as a whole feels such, so.
That was one of the, it's unfortunate that residents can't comment on site plans, and that was one of the concerns that the adjacent residents did have there, as far as security and people, and kind of, I guess, with that gate and kind of encouraging people to go back there. It would have been nice to see possibly something that's opaque, like just an aluminum, like metal deck, but in a vertical application with just a, a tube frame on it, something like that. I mean, it would still meet your fire department requirements, because you are awfully close to those two homes right there on either side on Pool Road, and they were pretty adamant about that as far as security concerns. I don't know how anyone else feels.
I appreciate what you're bringing up. Nicer is always better, rather than simple just to get it done. I hear what you're saying. I support that. Sure. How do you feel about changing the fencing there?
I think that would be fine. That's something that the owner would approve for sure.
Okay, great. We will discuss that when we make our motion then. Thank you.
Okay.
Sam, anything?
Yes. So do you know what the current footprint is of the current facility you guys are operating out of?
It's a bit smaller. I would say it's pretty much that size of the warehouse portion, the back larger portion.
I believe it's close to 100,000, and that's not the exact amount, but I know I just, in talking with him and touring the site, I mean, this is definitely a large expansion. It's not double, but it might be close to it. Yeah.
Okay. And what will be the intended hours of operation for the site?
So they have, I believe right now, 2 shifts, which is, I believe it's like from morning to probably not super late at night, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. I want to say around 8 p.m.
Okay.
I do know, I did tour the existing facility, and I know it's very quiet.
Between the 2 shifts, do you know the number of employees that will be on site in one given day?
I am not sure. I would say probably anywhere from like 75 to 100.
Okay.
If that.
Expected to be more than that, but and then there's obviously a lot of truck wells when there's going to be a lot of deliveries, pickups. Is there a certain time frame that those deliveries will take place, or is it kind of sporadic throughout the day? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I would have to find out for you.
Okay. Well, so have you guys talked to the owner of that single residence on Perry Street at all?
I have not. Do you know if they did?
I know David has, and within the past 5 years, we've gotten nowhere with him. And I believe it's a rental property, but there's, maybe he's tried and pretty much has been given the cold shoulder.
Cold shoulder, yeah. Okay.
Can you say that loud, or say that again, please?
He's tried to contact them, but in the past, they've pretty much told him to get lost,
Yeah,
in so many words.
That's something he's communicated to staff, so, yeah.
Okay.
I would also encourage the applicants that are here, if you want to text the owner, I don't know his availability at the moment, try to get some of these answers for Planning Commission, might be helpful, if it's worthwhile. Sometimes some of these are simple questions, if it's beneficial, so.
So, well, the reason I'm asking all this very specific information about the business and about this one property owner is that, he's sandwiched on 3 sides with drive lanes that there's going to be a significant amount of employees coming in and out. There's going to be a significant amount of delivery trucks, semi-trucks coming in and out all around his property. And he's directly adjacent to this, I would say, the secondary truck well, where obviously a large majority of this large truck traffic is going to be directly around where he is. But on the landscaping plan, it looks like the buffering and screening has been largely ignored around the perimeter of his residence. And, as unpleasant as he may be to deal with, I still believe that he is in need of the screening a lot more than the people over in Galloway Estates, just based on the site layout. I know there is landscaping there, but it's nowhere near as to the same level as what is being proposed for the Galloway Estates, which is, I would say, a lot further away from the majority of the traffic in and out of the site. So I guess, would you be open to adding additional landscaping and screening around that area?
I believe it's zoned similar, commercial zoned, and we have a fence and several pine trees, and I believe that's what we're willing to provide.
Can I,
That is zoned residential.
Residential, sorry.
Yeah.
can I add something?
Sure.
I'm looking at SPA 3.2, which is a site layout and paving plan. And according to this, around that property is a vinyl coated chain link fence and I'm guessing PR period means provide landscape wall around existing building.
So what's the landscape wall going to consist of?
More likely a masonry wall.
It's a masonry wall. Is minimum 6 feet?
Yes. 6 feet.
Okay, that is my mistake. I did not see that. Well, thank you for entertaining my questions.
Great job, Sam. I don't have anything more to add, other than I just wanted to clarify what it's going to look like from the park side. When people are in the park, can you bring up the renderings? That would be,
I don't think you'll be able to see it from the park based on the topography and the grade
and the
change
trees
such,
that are
and the
there?
trees. There's a pretty significant grade change across Galloway Creek. It's
Okay.
quite traverse.
So is the building going to be lower than what the park is? When you're in the park?
It'll be higher, but then up farther back. So from the park, you'll be, I don't know how the proximity of the park. Oh, right there.
It's right there.
Yeah. You'll be looking up at it, but through the trees, you won't, through the buffer that's going to remain, you really won't see it.
Okay,
That's where the floodplain is, so there's quite a significant landscaped buffer.
okay. I don't have anything else right now. Great questions from my fellow commissioners. Thank you for all your diligence and thoughts. Did you want to get anything from the owner if he's available via text? Did anybody connect with him?
Hi there, I'm Greg Ezzo with SM Engineers. I'm the engineer on the project. I just texted David, and he said regarding the neighbor, I guess he said that they didn't want to sell or anything, so I guess that's the current situation on that.
Okay.
I did ask him about the truck loading dock schedule as well. And that, I think he's going to look up the truck logs on that to see what the scheduling of that is. As far as the turning for the truck docks, I did do a truck turning analysis on that. And yeah, they will be like backing into the docks. So I was able to get that to work for both the front and the back truck docks as well.
Could you clarify for Planning Commission how often you think the trucks will be entering the site on a daily or weekly basis?
That I don't have that information. Unfortunately. Do you?
Not yet.
No, not
Sorry.
yet.
So I did get some clarification on the hours. It's 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. At the moment, they have 110 employees. When they open, they're planning on hiring more, and we'll have about 200. And they take deliveries in the morning and afternoons.
Okay, but no count of the number of trucks that,
Let me find out. Let me see if I can just call him. Sorry, he's not answering. Yeah, I can ask him about.
Are you asking for like a traffic study of that?
Just a rough idea, so we know.
A rough
how
idea.
many cars, how many trucks
Okay.
come in. Right.
right. Mhm. Go right ahead.
I had a question regarding the parking lot. I'm not seeing it, maybe I missed it, and you do kind of show it in your exterior renderings. I'm assuming with the amount of parking that you have towards the east side of the property that you're going to have like walkways designated, like paint lines on the pavement, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
For safety.
there'll be crosswalk access.
Okay. Thank you.
And one of the comments was the color of the striping, yellow. Yellow would be the striping.
Did you get any clarification from the owner on the gate design?
No, I will find out for him.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be opaque in nature, I'm sure. We'll make it opaque in nature and be somewhat blend, so maybe like green somewhere, so it kind of blends into the background.
My concern is that I was pretty adamant about it last time he came, and what is shown on the drawings is just a weldment of pipe.
We don't want that. We're not gonna, that would be correct next time.
He said he is okay with revising the gate and making it look nicer for those residents.
Thank you.
If there's any specific proposals, the applicant's offering or planning commission, please incorporate that into a condition, so.
Don't they have to offer that condition?
This is not a rezoning.
Oh, okay, so we can add that as a condition?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And again, I'd advise checking with the applicant, make sure, but, really, I think staff needs direction on any conditions, that it's enforceable, it gives enough direction that it's known what is expected for that revised gate.
Thank you.
Okay.
With the conversation of the gate, I always am happier with something that is not plastic. Let's just cut to the chase.
Okay.
So no plastic fencing, no plastic gates, please. Metal preferred, but other than metal, I defer to my two engineer architect.
Yeah, I would like to see a metal opaque gate there.
Okay.
That doesn't rust.
That what?
That does not rust.
Aluminum?
Yeah.
Well, that rust. Painted.
Okay. Right, anything else? Do you want to wait for a truck count, or do you want to make a motion? Okay. Right.
We're going to put the additional item into the.
About the gate.
Yeah.
Do we make that motion prior to the main one? It's just added.
As a condition. Yeah, do you want to go ahead and do that?
It's up there.
I make a motion to approve the requested site plan for a light manufacturing facility at 1590 North Perry based on the findings of fact identified in the staff report and with the 6 conditions outlined in the staff report with the should I say 7?
Yeah.
With the added condition that the fire access gate be metal in nature and opaque.
Sounds good. Support it?
I'll support it.
All right.
Commissioner Shepard,
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Northcross,
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Henley,
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Sinclair,
Yes to approve.
Commissioner Parlov.
Yes to approve. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good
So
luck with
I would contact staff tomorrow. We'll be writing a decision letter, but you're really transitioning to a final site plan level, addressing these 7 conditions and also the engineering and fire and all that conditions to help move forward. So.
Okay, I did get an answer about the truck, if you want to
Oh,
hear.
thank you. Yeah, please
He
share.
said 4 to 6 daily for receiving, but the max would be 7 to 9 for coming in and out.
Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah. All right, very good. Thank you. All right, so now we are ready for staff communications. Staff.
Good evening again. So just a few updates. All the applications from the May meeting, including the marijuana and 94 Dwight, are moving forward to City Council. 94 Dwight, I just wanted to announce that's not immediately coming to City Council. The applicant is requesting to submit some of their supplemental information formally, to get it in writing to clear the confusion about the number of units they're looking, the number of parking spaces, just to clear that confusion. So that should be coming up soon. We just don't have the date for that. Those marijuana ordinances will be presented to City Council in first reading next week. There is a June meeting. We do have approximately 4 items, so it's not unmanageable. I did want to say there will be a site plan and special exception for 108 Lawrence for a self-storage facility. I just want to note this previously went through a rezoning that for a marijuana use that is about to revert back to the industrial zoning. So that reverts back next week. That was supposed to be on tonight's agenda. They did not meet all the submittal requirements, and so they are submitting that remaining item to get that on the agenda for the June 5th meeting. We also have a car wash at 684 Auburn that is expected to be informational session. This has been a car wash for years, but it's also been vacant for 15 or 20 years, so it should be good to move forward. There's a few other items. I'm forgetting all the cases, but I just kind of prepare you for what's there. And then two other notes I mentioned last time, but next week is anticipated when the master plan consultant would be, that resolution for contract approval goes before city council. We still have not let the intended award bid know, so I have to keep that under wraps, but that should be announced next week, assuming all moves forward as planned. And then I do give occasionally some general planning updates. The city is doing an HDC town hall. So this is a general town hall. It's open to everyone. However, we've sent invitations to everyone that owns a historic district in the city. There's no specific items. We just want to share who the commission is, what they do, and really what guidelines, both at the city and at the federal level, that they fall underneath. And it's really just an outreach program. That is being held on Monday, June 10th from 6 to 8 at the Bowen Senior Center at 52 Bagley Street. So I just wanted to kind of put that on the radar, just as the city's trying to be proactive with some of our historic district regulations and whatnot. And it's good. There have been so many new owners and occupants that, are trying to fix up their homes. Some don't know they live in a historic district, so this is really a way to get that education out there. Unless there's any questions for me, that is my report this evening.
Very good. Do you have anything else, Corey? No. And how about for Justin, anything? No. All right. Well, thank you for the excellent job tonight, staff and attorney. And I think we are ready for a motion to adjourn. Yes.
I just want to bring up the July meeting. It's scheduled for, I think, July 3rd.
We actually approved a calendar for July 10th with the holidays. So it is the second Wednesday instead of the first. And we moved back the HTC meeting that month as well. So we thankfully planned ahead. So,
all right, I'm trying to plan ahead.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we don't want any fireworks at a planning commission meeting. So, yeah.
All right. Very good. Motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Yay, aye. Thank you, everybody. Happy Memorial Day.
It's an efficient meeting.
Yes.